Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer, especially Dr. Mohsen Azdarimi and Haidar, for inviting me here. It is a very pleasure to participate in this meeting, especially when it is in the Najaf city. Okay. I would like to tell you about Leishmaniasis today, vaccine. This is regular pictures of Leishmaniasis. You might have seen these patients more than me. Leishmaniasis is endemic in more than 100 countries. 14 of 22 EMRO countries, which Iraq, Iran is among them, are endemic to Leishmaniasis. It is important for your dermatologist. Cutaneous form of Leishmaniasis is more common one of the diseases, and it is endemic in 89 countries. And the disease is expanding. It is not diminishing, not in regard to the incidence rate, not in regard to the spreading to non-endemic areas. Elimination of Leishmaniasis need active case detection. Unfortunately, we don't have a rapid diagnosis test, rapid and precise, which is not invasive. The current diagnosis is invasive. Effective treatment, I will show you some data about that. Control of zoonotic reservoir is not possible. Even in some endemic areas, we don't have the reservoir. We don't know the exact which is the reservoir. Vector control is not possible and resistant to pesticide arising. Education and communication, we don't have enough resources, and it does not work that much because the phlebotomous mosquitoes do not listen to your teaching. Vaccine, unfortunately, there is no vaccine available against any form of Leishmaniasis, not in human, not in animal. Why there is a need for vaccine? I told you that treatment is not efficacious. The only WHO approved treatment is antimalarial derivatives, still, which is for 80 years in use. The efficacy in one clinical trial that we had, after 4 and 8 weeks of treatment, it was 10% and 65%. Efficacy of based on complete revitalization and disappear of induration was only 20% after 12 weeks of treatment in El Toropico. In another study, only 20% complete cure at 6 weeks after initiation of treatment. This one was for El Major. These are our studies. The main point of Leishmaniasis is that Leishmaniasis is a local problem. It is not important for WHO. It is not important for developed countries. It is only important on the problem of developing countries. I told you 89 countries are endemic to cutaneous form of Leishmaniasis. 80 of them are developing countries and the poorest part of the world. Why we believe that the development of an effective vaccine is possible? After recovery of especially cutaneous Leishmaniasis, this is also correct for visceral Leishmaniasis. 90 to 95% of the people who recover from Leishmaniasis, either by Leishmanization or natural infection, are protected against further development of lesion. A strong immune response induced after recovery. If in vivo LSD conversion is 90 to 95%, interferon gamma production is seen, a special type of gamma interferon which we take the supernatant of the culture of PBMCs recovered from the patient is 80 to 85% positive. Leishmanization is an effective prophylactics against cutaneous leishmaniasis. Protection is in animal model is very easy. That's why if you look in the literature, you might find hundreds of papers that showed efficacy in animal model with different antigens. In mice, hamster, non-human primates. Leishmania is very easy to grow. It is not complicated. You can even, in this room, you can culture Leishmania, and Leishmanization is something that was used for thousands of years. In Kurdistan, they had Leishmaniasis 1,000 years ago. In Persian Empire, they used to take sample with knife from a lesion of a child and transfer it by scratching to the butt of especially girls. Upon healing, they developed a strong immune response, a strong protection, and they were protected for the rest of their life. Later on, when the culture media developed, they used culture media, and recently we have used GMP production of Leishmania major to induce Leishmanization. During war between Iran and Iraq, more than 2 million soldiers were Leishmanized, plus 250,000 children in Isfahan area were Leishmanized. They used inoculator 2 to 300,000 Leishmania, and let me get the date. These are the picture of the Leishmanization. If you compare with the picture of the patient, you see that this is especially for 10 years after the Leishmanization, they went back and did a follow-up. The prevalence of cutaneous leishmaniasis in the area in those that leishmanized and developed the lesion was 0.8%. In those that did not have any lesion after leishmanization, it was 10.5%, and in those that in control people was 40%. Now, it is shown that the most effective protection against leishmaniasis is leishmanization. There are many leishmania attenuated were developed, but recently FDA developed one. This is advantage of leishmanization. These are the leishmania attenuated that were developed. They developed one centering knockout in Leishmania donovani, Leishmania major, and Leishmania mexicana. They showed protection in mice, in hamster, and in dogs. Now the clinical trial is ongoing in Tunisia. I have gone there and visited their field. Their efficacy is very good, and they are looking for an endemic area to do clinical trials. It is a very good opportunity for Iraqis to use this opportunity. This is the only second generation vaccine that went to human was these two. Doesn't work. No. Can you change it from there? Okay. But I would like to tell you one point. If they want to evaluate a vaccine against Leishmaniasis, they need to use live challenge. They need to use Leishmanization. Oh, okay. They need to use Leishmanization. Why? Because in clinical trials that we have done for 30,000 volunteers, always we used to calculate the incidence rate in the endemic area, divide the participant in two populations, one population vaccinated, calculating those variations. But if we use Leishmanization, and we need less people, in clinical trials we need 3,000 to 5,000 people. We using Leishmanization, we need only 50 to 100 people, and we can investigate the immune response, we can investigate the time of the protection, duration of the protection. I think the only way to evaluate Leishmania vaccine is through live challenge. Thank you very much. Stay?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Khamis, for your nice and interesting subject. And because Professor Yahya Dawlati was guys to attend this conference, we ask you to present us all how to deal with insatisfied patient.
Okay. Thank you very much again. I know that I'm not able to present something that Dr. Yahya Dawlati could, but as a mission that he gave me, I will do it. Dealing with disappointed patient, greatness comes not when things goes well. Greatness comes when you are really tested with some disappointment. The appropriate candidate has a mature and realistic attitude, has a general demeanor which suggests a satisfactory content of life, makes eye contact and smiles when the physician is introduced, talks about her life, job, and relationships, has come to the office not because her life is bad, but because things are good and he wants to improve them. Wishes to correct or improve an old problem or a new one about which has had some discomfort. Is not particularly focused on a perfect outcome. This is very important, that the patient should not want you to do a magic thing. Acknowledge that perfection is not expected. Has had other cosmetic procedures that were appropriate for this particular person. The desired patient would in general have praise for the cosmetic surgeon who may have served her previously. If a patient referred to you and started to say bad thing about his previous physician, this is not a good candidate. The problem patient. The surgeon must take sole responsibilities for the patient becoming a problem, not for the patient psychological condition, but for allowing that condition to create a problem. There is one problem. If you, at first time, you select or choose a bad candidate, then you will get in problem. I remember one of the famous cosmetic surgery in US, he told me, my famous is not because of what I have done. My famous is because of what I have not done. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, some of the patients that I refused to do surgery, some of my colleagues did excellent job, but they took them to the court. Most frequently, patient problems arise because during the initial interview, the surgeon fails to make the patient take the responsibility for his or her own decisions, expectation, and behavior. The patient should not expect you that you are responsible for everything. He should understand that you are both responsible for what will happen. Remember that the patient who resists entering into a mutual contract of responsibility with the surgeon represents potential problem the first time. Probably most important, that is, if the surgeon feels initiative to uncomfortable or anxious about accepting the case, he or she should refer the patient, or at the same time call some of his colleagues to visit the patient and give a consultant, or give him another appointment. In the second appointment, still he is not satisfied, it is better not to do surgery on that patient. Reason for disappointment: inadequate preparation. If you are not prepared, for example, your nurse is not ready, your instrument is not ready, the drug is not ready, this is very, very bad. Inappropriate expectations, occurrence of complications, comment of family and friends, inadequate follow-up, perceived lack of caring, loss of faith in physician management. Before any procedure, a patient should know what he or she or will be involved in. The process should be fully explained for her or him. In some cases, there might be superb results, in others less than satisfactory improvement. Therefore, the patient should be made aware and be ready for any discomfort. The patient education. The first interview, you need to explain for the patient everything in written and in oral, and get informed consent. Although informed consent in most of the cases does not help you, but you need to have informed consent. It is better, it is recommended to take photos before operation and after that, and in each follow-up. Expectations that are too high are dangerous. They put extra strain on the doctor-patient relationship. No doctor can guarantee success. No doctor can make a person into something they are not, or they do not have the potential to achieve. Sometimes they come. There is a story that a patient went to eye doctor, and eye doctor put something for him to read, and any glasses that he put, he said, I cannot read. Later on, he said, I am illiterate, I can't read. This is sometimes happen. Occurrence of a complication occur 10 to 20% of the time. They are thought to be part of the natural evolution of the procedure. Take, for example, UPL, resurfacing erythema, and undesirable side effects from a patient viewpoint occurs in almost everyone. So the patient should know. Okay, if there is always, maybe a patient goes to friends or relatives and explain for them his problem, and they encourage him that your problem is because of your doctor. You should not discuss or completely completely ignore him. You should talk to him at first, accept what he says, and then discuss and bring the problem and said that you are there to solve the problem. There is 10, this is the 10 amendment that Dr. Dawlati believes that is like 10 amendment of the Moses. Make sure that the patient knows the possible outcomes. When disappointment occurs, you should acknowledge the patient's problem, not ignore, not reassure them that you are there to help them. Keep communication channels open. Always explain the situation and option to the patient. Whatever you do, don't get into a shooting match with the patient. Turn your patient into a VIP. This is very important. There is one poem from Jalaluddin Rumi. I don't know if you know him, Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. He said, animals live but by food and water. Human lives by respect. For 30 years, I was working with Dr. Dawlati in clinical trials. I know that when you respect a patient, at first place, he will always cooperate with you. But if you disrespect them, later on you will get in problem. Refer early if you need to refer. If there is no resolution in sight and the patient can still only complain, you may say, how would you like to end this problem? When resolution of the problem occurs, share in their joys. The follow-up of the patient is very important. If you are not in your office during the operation, you should refer the patient to a well-known doctor or for a well-trained nurse. Thank you very much.